Hello and welcome to the Mount Rushmore podcast. My name is Jeff, and guess who's with me? Richard.
Hello.
And Michael.
Howdy.
Richard and Michael, they're going to do that thing where they go at each other's throats and debate and deliberate. And this week they're going to talk about the Mount Rushmore of things that we pretend to like to be cool, but secretly aren't that into. Richard, explain.
Well, I think this was one I came up with. I think this one was one hanging around in the shed for a while, I believe, Michael. We've had this one.
Maybe.
I think this is one that may even predate the show.
Could be. This feels just right in tune with our doppelgangers and frauds
Hoaxes
and like this season 3 of things that are just like just lies.
I think we just
season 3 is just like subtitled lies, lies and
Lies
liars.
and liars.
I
tell
also
them.
wait for the topic that Richard brings up so he can tell that kick-ass story, because he's got some kick-ass ones too about bullets flying.
Well,
or
we'll see if
near,
I
near
don't-
death or
I don't-
alcohol consumption.
I don't know that I have any for this one, but the whole idea was basically, I think we all have things that in the back of our minds, when it gets talked about, we're like, oh yeah, that's great. I really like that. You don't really like it.
You don't really like the thing.
But it's like you don't want to be the guy who says, I don't know about that.
Yeah. Okay.
This is a big
Yeah.
opening up of all of our pretenses.
Yeah, totally. It's a
So
bearing
everybody
of
that
ourselves.
like is our friends, that's I don't like you guys
Yeah.
much, I guess, I hope.
You know, when I
Yeah,
read
don't
this,
name specific people.
when I
that
read
would
this
be bad.
one, it reminded me of the moment, I don't know, third, fourth season of Parks and Rec, where it's all about Little Sebastian and Adam Scott trying to figure out what people like about Little Sebastian. And at one point at the end, he goes, I get it. I get what's so great about him. Then he looks at the camera and goes, I don't get it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Little Sebastian. So, Richard chose it, so Michael begins.
Punk rock.
Oh, shit, he said it.
I
You
just-
said, what?
I just
Wow.
don't.
In none of its, reiterations or...
I just don't care. I've never felt that level of angst that where like punk rock made sense to me.
Wait,
And
but you're a Smiths fan.
yeah, I know.
Okay.
The majority of my music is built on this foundation of punk rock.
Yeah.
All the music I like from the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s, like I understand that there is this deep well that comes out of the Clash
Yeah.
and the Ramones and like
Sex Pistols.
the Sex Pistols, but like I don't ever want to just listen to punk rock. I don't want to listen to Fugazi. I don't want to listen to Black Flag. I really don't want to listen to the Ramones, except for like when it's on a Wes Anderson movie soundtrack.
Yeah.
And it's like perfectly fit for a scene or situation. And I know it's important. I don't actually care.
Yeah.
There's not one moment where I'm like, yeah, I really got to listen to this 33-minute album. It's 15 songs
Yeah.
long.
Yeah.
And it's just like all kind of sounds the same. And I hate to be the person that like it all sounds the same, but it does. It's all kind of like grating.
Here's where we can bust those fools who have their Ramones or CBGB T-shirt, but yet don't secretly like the music. Is it an aesthetic that you enjoy? Because I enjoy the kind of the commercialized aesthetic of punk. It's really attractive, and maybe it's also stuff that's kind of borrowed from other working class rock formats, like I don't know, like a Black Leather Jacket got handed down from Grease or doo-wop stuff. or
Yeah,
a T-shirt
I get
or-
that. I think that there's also like a lifestyle thing.
Yeah.
With like if you were kind of in your teens in the mid 70s and you kind of grew up with pop music in the 50s forced upon you, and then all of a sudden you're in your 20s in the 70s and you're like
Yeah.
rebelling against things, and you're rebelling against like the flower power generation, and there's economic turmoil and like a lot of crime and stuff in like big cities. I can understand why like if you grew up within that and
Yeah.
like the politics, but like I missed that by a few years, and so I don't have any of that angst, but I recognize that it as a thing, it's important to other musical bands and art forms that I like, but like as a thing, but it's also like, but punk is one of those things that you have to, you gotta
Feel.
be down with it.
Yeah, you gotta
be
feel
cool.
it. You gotta
If you're
punk
like,
in
oh
your
yeah,
soul.
I'm really into Fugazi. I'm really into Black Flag. Like me,
Yeah.
yeah.
Richard, our resident musicologist, would probably weigh in on this, but I would say that with the time I started saving my money to pay for these big arena rock shows when I was 13 and 12 years old, there was my parents didn't have, I didn't have an allowance. My parents didn't have a bunch of money. So if I had $25 to spend on to see in a big arena rock show, it was all the money I was going to have for 6 months. And
Yeah.
so I'd go see the 9012 or the Van Halen tour.
Van Halen with like the OU 812.
Yeah, OU 812 and the Police Synchronicity tour. And I remember seeing Men at Work and seeing these kind of big shows and then hating them all compared to like the little shows that the little punk shows that you'd go see. And I don't like punk music, but I would love those shows. Like
there's an energy to a live show that's different than what's on the recording.
Yeah. And there's no such thing as a big punk show, so it's you can see the band at those shows too.
Yeah, unless you're talking about like the Clash at Shea Stadium or some crap like that. But
yeah, and I saw the Clash at the Starlight Music venue in Kansas City on their Combat Rock tour, and it was still nothing like. I mean, it was the best of those big shows, but it made me like punk live, but I still didn't like it recorded that much. So.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that punk rock is like, if you're not into it, I think you can be automatically dismissed for like whatever your music. So like this is a thing you have to pretend to like just to get your foot in the door, so you can talk about the things that you want to talk about with music at times.
Yeah.
And if like you don't like whatever, you're automatically discredited.
Oh, I don't like Orson Welles. So you can't talk about movies anymore. That sort of thing.
I feel like I let my coworker down who was new to the office and he said something about seeing X live when they toured again and said, you saw him, right? And I go, no. In fact, I got to confess, and I don't really know. I don't like L.A. punk or didn't get into the first wave of punk that much.
Yeah.
And he went, I thought you were my punk guy.
Oh, there you go.
I solely disappointed this guy. I wanted so bad to help him out. All right, Richard, then Michael comes out swinging.
Well, we'll stay in the same vein, and
Okay.
I'm going to go with most rap.
Oh, right. Okay. Okay, you're racist.
Yeah, basically.
All right.
There are exceptions to this rule. Like I mentioned Public Enemy, I think, in a couple of episodes, and we've talked about that. But for the most part, it's just not. I don't get it. It's not made for me. I'm not going to. But I to your point, Jeff, I do feel like that when I'm talking to friends of mine who are people of color who like rap music or like urban music, let's call it, or whatever phrase you want to use.
Hip hop.
That I kind of have to go, oh yeah, Drake, he's pretty good. Yeah, I dig him, and I can just hear myself being the whitest person saying this possible, but I'm trying to like sound like I'm down with it. I'm not down with it, you guys. It's not that I'm racist. It doesn't speak to me musically at all.
You say musically, is that inclusive of the entire way you experience music, or are there lyrics that you'd say this is not talking to any lifestyle that I understand?
Both.
Oh, okay.
I would say both. Yeah, just from a musical standpoint, it's not. I'm still very much a guitar, as Michael would point it out. I'm more of a guitar-based rock type of guy. So rap inherently doesn't really appeal to me in any of the same ways that much in the same way that synth-driven pop or synth-driven indie rock even I generally doesn't appeal to me as much as guitar-based stuff.
It's also been established that you don't like any music past 1994.
That's true.
So,
but if I'm going to, chances are it's going to be something that's guitar-based.
It's a tough one. I think when music, whether it's punk or rap, just doesn't speak to you, to what your current situation is, your current lifestyle, whether it's gangster rap, or when that
gangster rap, yes.
Gangster with a hard R at the end.
Yes.
In the late 80s, early 90s, when that was also the dominant kind of rap on MTV or music, I think that can also shut off a whole generation of people listening to it. If you're like, I don't relate to this in any way, it's hard to be like, oh, what comes after this? Because someone like, this is the late 80s also had when NWA was out, MC Hammer as well,
right?
And MC Hammer is so
Young MC
toast, and Young MC, just kind of goofy dance rap, and if those are your two options that you're kind of presented, and neither of them are what you're into in your formative years, you can see how it just kind of puts a stopper in the spigot for the kind of remainder of your life. And you're like, I don't want to listen to any of this.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of feel the same way about just punk rock. Like, I didn't relate to the angst. And I personally, too, don't listen to a ton of rap. I mean, every once in a while. But, like, it's just never, like, I don't know.
Would you say if somebody said, well, do you like all rock? You say, oh, no, I like some of it.
Sure. Yeah,
I think
that's such a good point.
Somebody might say, you're not responsible for loving all of it, all of punk or all of rap. But I think I would also say, I have not the interest to filter out good from bad. I just don't have any, and I have not the discerning ear to tell one from the other.
One thing I would agree with you on that, Jeff, and one thing I would say, it's for me, it's like, when Kendrick Lamar won the Pulitzer Prize, I think, this last year.
It wasn't the Publishers Clearinghouse.
No, it was not the Publishers Clearinghouse. It was a giant check.
Thank you.
The corpse of Ed McMahon showed up. And I was like, that's fantastic. I have no point of reference for him whatsoever. I'm sure he may be great. I'm sure that his music may be... I just don't have the interest to go and sort it out for myself.
Yeah. Okay. Michael, you're second.
Richard, it's funny that you mentioned Orson Welles because I'm going to say Stanley Kubrick.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I don't care. And I think you almost have to care or pretend to care if you're into movies or if you want to talk about the history of cinema and you bring up, like, he's a visionary and he made such dynamic movies, but like,
let's pop in Barry Lyndon, guys. Pop some corn.
My gosh. I was going down the list of movies and it's like, never seen it, never seen it, never seen it once, don't need to see it again. I don't need to watch 2001: A Space Odyssey ever again. I've seen it. I got it. The only one I'd watch is like The Shining.
Yeah.
Again, and I've seen that. Maybe because it's the most commercial.
Right.
But like, all of his movies, I don't care, and I think that like I went to took film classes at college, and they talked about the importance of his work and the mise en scène and the lighting and all the interesting things and new things he was doing, and just like, fucking tune out. But like, to be around that crowd, if like, I tuned out halfway through like the art portion of my art studio career too, was just like to hang with these people that are professionals or want to be professionals or studying to be professionals. There is like all these things that you have to believe to be part of that crowd. And that's part of like, this topic to begin with is like, to be cool to those people, you have to pretend that you like these things, whether they're a certain type of movie or director or whatever. And at some point you're just like, fuck it. I think there are two people though. I think there are the people that are really heavily into film and get into everything and either pretend to like it or force themselves to like it. Or there's like the other person who's just like, I don't give a shit. And they're so honest that becomes a coolness factor. Like the person that hates everything that's good. Well, not one of our friends. We have a friend that hates everything that's good.
Hates grapes.
A whole thing. Oh, no. It's a thing. Well, no, that's a whole other podcast. But like...
That's the Mount Rushmore of worst bets.
Grapes are the only thing I like.
But like, I think that there are two types of people that are recognized as cool within like a specific like genre, whether it's movies. It's the person that knows everything, that follows it, that has those sort of credentials that you can talk to and bring up anything, and either they really are into it or they're pretending to be into it. Or there's the person that's just like the fuck it person, and they just don't give a shit, and you're like, wow, I can't believe you're so honest to say that you hate the best movie of all time or whatever, and they're like, yeah, it sucks. Next. And
right.
You're just like, wow, I'm impressed by kind of both of those if you're within that world.
All right, Ricardo.
Yeah, my second one is modern art.
Oh. Suck it.
Suck it,
modern. Suck it,
Andy Jackson
Warhol.
Pollock.
Yeah. That's pop art, yeah.
Well, it's all this. That same milieu.
Pollock's modern for sure, yeah.
Yeah, I've been to MoCA, down here, or over and Museum of Contemporary Art, and I've seen a lot of this stuff. Look, man, the painting that's a box with a triangle next to it. That's just a box with a triangle next to
He
it.
doesn't get it. Jeff, he doesn't get it. Can you believe this guy?
Jeez, you Philistine.
I guess.
Open your eyes, man.
It's sometimes a cigar is just a cigar, you guys. And
The atrocities of the American Revolutionary
are
War.
played out with this red dot that I put on this white canvas. It's like this is, and you go and you're supposed to sit there and stare at it for 20 minutes and make a lot of tilt your head a bit like you're a dog looking at something very, very confusing to you. Oh yeah, well, if I step back from it, maybe from back here I'll get something different. It's like, no, you're never going to get anything different out of it. You would have a hard time to convince me that this isn't just all a big scam.
Who is the person you're trying to be cool and pretend in front of? Is it the docent with the ill-fitting jacket who stands over in the corner just looking at his watch the whole time?
It's everyone else there in the theater, in the art gallery, I guess.
Your
you
kids
don't want to
who
see
are looking at
kids. You're trying to introduce your kids to art and stuff like that. And you want to be like, yeah, I don't know. I don't get it either, kids. This is bullshit.
I almost fall asleep in art galleries just because I just get so irrevocably bored.
Now, I like art galleries. Now, let's be clear. If I can go to LACMA down here in Los Angeles or the Getty and go look at Renaissance art or even contemporary, not modern art, but contemporary art, and be fascinated by it, that I love. It's very specifically modern stuff.
Naked statues.
Mainly, I love boobs and dongs. So that's what I love looking at. No, I can look at quote unquote regular art, actual art that actually depicts things, and even modernist type stuff like Picasso. I can look at and I can appreciate. But man,
okay, what's
man, if you're just if you're just splashing some paint from your paintbrush onto a canvas and then being done and go, this is my take on the nuclear holocaust.
What's a better Picasso, Guernica or when John Lovett played Picasso on SNL and was signing his name to something, expecting to get things for free, saying "I'm Picasso."
So I think some people see, and the quote is like, "My kid could do that." They see that and think, "Oh, that means it's not art." Is that how you feel about it? Like, do you think punk rock is art?
I don't know that it's art.
I know I like it.
I know I like it.
I know I like it. It's only rock and roll, but
so any idiot could play punk rock, right?
Basically, yeah. But I don't think any idiot could do it well.
Okay.
Or do it and have it last.
You capture the energy and excitement of that, and though you don't see that those artists are capturing
I don't think. Yeah, I don't see that it's being reflected back to as a form of communication. Music is a form of communication in some way. Yeah. And, the artists are trying to reflect a certain sort of energy back to the listener, or if you're at a show, the person at the show. Me personally, I get that from punk rock, whereas I wouldn't get that from modern art. Whatever it is that they're trying to convey to me, somehow it's getting lost in translation.
Yeah. All right. Good enough. Okay, guys, this is our halfway moment here where we take an opportunity to plug not just our podcast, but other people's podcasts. And we're going to start off with a promo for another podcast. So please go check out this one.
Hey, I'm Sunny Megatron from American Sex, a podcast about life, liberty, and the pursuit of Ooh, that's kind of a trashy first impression, isn't it? I'm so sorry. Okay. On American Sex, Ken Melvoin-Berg and I explore our guests' deepest, darkest sexual secrets, hang-ups, fantasies, and victories. Each episode reminds us that in this fine country of ours, no matter our differences, we all want and deserve the same things: freedom and happiness. And find American Sex on iTunes, Stitcher, and most podcast services, or at americansexpodcast.com.
And we're back, and now we're going to force our podcast down your gullets. Go to iTunes. Go to Stitcher. Download, rate, and review previous episodes of our podcast. We legit would like to know what you think about it. And then the next step after that is to go to Facebook. Go to Tinder. Go to Grindr. Open your dating profile.
MySpace.
Go MySpace.
That's still a thing.
If you're looking for hot podcast action, go to the Mount Rushmore Grindr profile and click that you want to hook up.
Swipe anywhere.
Swipe anywhere.
We don't care.
Up, down, swirly. That's fine.
If you looking for a middle-aged white males with dad bod, you found the right hot podcast. But you could also go to Facebook and talk about episodes that you've listened to recently, suggest topics for future episodes, or let us know what we missed when we were giving examples for the topics. You could also go to Instagram, and you could go to Twitter and find us on there and talk to us about the things that you like or you don't like. Do us a favor, too. audibletrial.com/Rushmore is a way you can support the podcast and then get yourself a free Audible trial, a 30-day free trial where you get to listen to all this cool stuff and then get a free book from Audible for free. That is what you can do. You can download any free book that they got. Normally I have a sample for it, but I don't think there's anything that fits into our topic here.
Yeah, no.
Jeff's too cool
I'm too cool.
for it.
I'm too cool for that. So,
Books,
but the thing is, whatever
paragraphs.
book you get, and they have over 180,000 that you can choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle player, MP3 player, or Zune or Merlin, you can keep. Yeah. You can play some 13. What was the game? 13?
21.
It wasn't 21. It was 13.
If you're listening to Mount Rushmore podcast as a customizable card game,
Yeah.
please let us know because we want.
We don't know how the hell you're doing that, frankly.
Have you printed out all of the episodes and made a little Magic the Gathering type game that you can play with us?
If you're listening through a player piano,
Yeah.
we want to know.
Oh, but if you want the extension pack of cards, let us know because we'll make that shit up for you, man. We'll
Exactly.
do anything to make some money off this.
Magic the Gathering is a game that no one has ever pretended to like to prove that they're cool.
that's
I
true.
guarantee that's not on your list, right, Rich?
No.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if you're just like, hey guys, you get the new expansion pack, and it's just like, what are you doing?
I'm not into this. I'm gonna go play football again. Okay, so I guess we might as well finish this. So we have been discussing the Mount Rushmore of things that you pretend to like to be cool, but secretly aren't that into. And Michael is going to tell us his third choice.
Politics, you guys.
Whoa.
Feel like I have to care right now. I feel like there is a coolness to it being your civic duty, and maybe there is in a way, but I want to forget the name of everyone that is currently in politics, that is currently a member of the Trump administration. I want to forget all these horrible fucking people. I want there to be an end to it that I can look back and say, I do not remember the name of that racist that wrote that racist policy. And I know that guy's name,
Yeah.
and I know his background. And it's like, I'm so sick of the knowledge, but also feeling like if I can't have a conversation about politics, I feel like, oh, we're not. This is the time to be political. It's a cool thing to be political. It's a important thing. But right now, it's just like I'm so over it.
Yeah.
I want to forget the names of the people that are in government right now the way that I forget the names of people that I used to work with. As soon as they are out the door, gone, out of my brain. Might have worked with them for 10 years,
Yeah.
and it's just like, run into him in the street. Hey, lady. Hi, Michael. And you're just like, oh, shit, they know my name. And I'm like, I get rid of it. I dump that information.
If there were some decent bad guys in this political cinematic universe, it would be different. None of them are the end guy in the video game. Even Trump, he's just
That's
like
so
this,
funny.
this big fucking pudgy baby. And these are our bad guys.
It's
like,
sickening that the dumbest people and the most obviously racist people are the ones that you're just like, you wouldn't write that in the movie because it's too obvious.
Yeah.
You want the person that you introduce in the first act that's kind of a good guy or kind of whatever, and you're not sure about them, but like they kind of help out the hero halfway through, and you're like, okay. And then they're like, I'm the Ironmonger. And you're
Yeah.
like, oh my God, Obadiah Stane. I
Yes.
can't believe it, to get back to Iron Man.
There's nothing nuanced. There's nothing, and maybe that's how they're succeeding because they're playing a very kind of one-dimensional game. But like, it also seems I'm keeping kind of looking around. It's still, is this the mid '80s again? It feels so.
I do not
Backwards.
want to know the names of White House aides any longer. I don't want to know the people that are like these weird underlings that are like in the news, and it feels like you have to know these things because you have to take a stand against them or something. You have to know all of the awful people on the roster of like like the 53-man roster of the White
Yeah.
House is like, I don't want to know the offensive line, the literally offensive linemen.
Yeah.
I don't need to know all
The
five of
backup,
them
yeah.
and the backup. I want to be done with it.
It feels
so
like
bad.
your aversion to fantasy football is coming through.
It is, and it's just like I'm so. It feels like you need to be in that conversation to be a little bit cool now.
Yeah.
Because it's like, ooh, politics is like the thing.
Oh.
You have to know how to. It's just like I'm so ready to be over it.
Yeah.
When is it? This
Speaking of-
grunting could be any of our past presidents.
Speaking, what were you talking about politics? Oh, gosh. I can't believe it. I'm so sick of politics. I'm also so sick of fighting this stupid war. Can you believe it? Commanding the Continental Army? What a bunch of idiots. These people are farmers. You,
Yes.
sir, you're a stout, healthy man. The Second Continental Congress has assigned me, George Washington, to command this bunch of losers.
Part of me knew that the Continental Army was led by George Washington, and then a part of me was like,
Don't get me started with the Battle of Bunker Hill.
I was waiting until he said the name just so I didn't seem like I wasn't cool enough to know who
You know,
which political figure.
All I did was command the Virginia Regiment. I got jack shit for leadership experience. They expect me to rile these guys up, give them a pep talk?
I do like that George Washington has to look up his own stuff on Wikipedia. I mean, he's been dead a long time.
It's true. You would forget some things.
I narrowly escaped destruction in the New York campaign of 1776. Unlike the successful siege of Boston, where I really succeeded in sieging Boston.
Mr. Washington.
We were flanked out of our positions.
General Washington.
Atop the, yeah.
Were you ever heard to be saying you're going to grab someone by their pussy?
No.
Well, then you've got plenty of leadership skills for
Oh.
modern day America, sir.
Okay.
You may
well,
actually be overqualified.
that's a miserable state of affairs.
It truly is.
All
sir.
right, so you're saying I'm living the good times right now?
They're not going to get better, sir.
Okay. Oh, wait, what was it called? America?
The United States.
How many states are there?
Say 13, 14, 15.
Gonna go up.
16, 17.
How many do you think there are?
Yeah, what's it?
Double
well,
it? Triple it?
Triplet?
Yep.
Well, right now there's like 13 colonies, but we're thinking of kicking Delaware out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We're willing to go back down to 49 to
Okay.
get rid of Delaware.
49.
You know what? Go back, add Puerto Rico, drop Delaware,
What are we doing in Florida?
50. Yeah.
Can we get the Bahamas in some sort of trade?
Yeah.
Done.
Well, let me just.
Also a third-round draft pick.
Yeah.
And cash.
Cash.
And cash.
How about a
Cashback.
island to be named later?
Oh, portal closing, sucking me back.
We had a guest.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, kick ass. Okay. So.
His teeth were replaced by cashews.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Well, I'm glad. Did we finish our rant about politics?
I think so. I
Okay,
think
okay,
we're
okay.
finally done with
Okay,
that.
Richard, what's your third?
That's a good question. Let me look it up on my phone. What is my third?
We're gonna have a special live episode sometime soon. Rushmore, and so you guys should let us know what topics you wanted to discuss on our special live episode.
We are, huh?
Yeah, I'm stalling. I'm stalling.
No, news to me. All right, my third choice is serious novels,
Oh wow. Okay.
like The Infinite Jest.
Oh yeah.
Like specifically The Infinite Jest.
Oh my fucking god.
Like basically you and I was an English major
Yeah.
in college, and so it was pretty clear that you were the biggest rube of all time if you hadn't read The Infinite Jest yet. And I tried to read it, and I got about a fifth of the way through it, and
Yeah.
went, "This is not for
Yeah.
me."
I in that shed there
Is it literally made from copies of
It's
the Infinite
made
Jest?
from David Foster Wallace at the end of the tour came along and put these up. I have a framed diagram, an infographic on how to read Infinite Jest.
That's so funny.
I've not read Infinite Jest. It's gathering dust.
you don't
in
need it. You
that.
got the diagram.
You got the
I got
diagram.
the
What else do you
diagram.
need? That's like the Cliff Notes, except less reading.
It has the different worlds of Infinite Jest and the characters and things like that. Like, yeah.
And I would extend that to most serious novels. Like, I just don't. Speaking of infinite, I have a finite amount of time.
Yeah.
And to devote
That leads
800
into my next pick. That's
to
great.
devote 800 pages to some Dom DeLillo,
Yeah.
like, I get
Don
it.
DeLuise. You're thinking of Dom DeLuise.
Dom
DeLuise.
DeLuise, yeah.
I love that you're combining the guy who was in the outtakes for Cannonball
From
Run.
Cannonball Run, right? Yeah.
Okay,
That book he wrote, Fatso. Yes.
Is it?
But I get it that it's brilliant. It's something that I
Yeah.
could never, as someone who thought he was going to be a novelist at some point, could never dream to probably come up with something that's that layered with texture and meaning and depth. And doesn't mean it makes for good reading, though.
Yeah.
And it's sort of almost I think it's that same sort of thing like you were talking about earlier, Michael. It's sometimes something can be technically great, like a Kubrick film, but that doesn't mean that you want to watch it.
Is it like when you're watching well, I know you have a daughter who sings opera, performs opera, so you probably have a better understanding of it. But when I see classical opera, I think, look how hard they're working to bore me.
Right?
Oh my God, you clearly are an amazing singer. I can't fucking understand you. I don't know. And I think the people who say they like this are bullshitting.
Oh, so you think I'm bullshit?
When you talk about novels and things like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you meant specifically with opera.
No. I understand, like, your daughter's doing these fun kind
Well,
of
I
things.
like opera in general.
Yeah.
So look, it's not like I don't have an appreciation for a lot of things that would be artsy.
Yeah.
But with books, it's just even an opera is unless you're going to see like the Ring cycle or something like that, it's a 4-hour investment, and that might seem like a long time. But if you're reading The Infinite Jest, that is a
4 months, yeah.
if not months long dive. And I'm sorry, there is nothing in the world that's that entertaining to me that I'd want to be with it for 4 months at a time.
Yeah.
It just isn't. Even something that was really entertaining, I would get sick of it after 4 months, let alone, page after page of footnotes.
Mm-hmm. I think the skill that Wallace has in creating the characters within the bits that I read are so demonstrated, but it almost makes me feel like here's a guy just showing off for 800
Right.
pages too.
Right. It reads like a very long graduate school novel assignment.
Yeah.
Where the student really wanted to show off to the teacher that all of their skills, but that doesn't necessarily translate.
Who
to
are
needing
you? Who is the person that you need to impress by being into The Infinite Jest?
Well, for me, like I said, when I was in college,
Yeah.
being an English major, dealing with other English majors, and I secretly think that's the problem, right? I think about a lot of these things, I'm not sure that everyone isn't feeling the same way.
Yeah.
And just no one wants to admit it.
Yeah.
It's like if one person said, you know what? Yeah, I didn't get the book at all. Like 5 other people would go, oh God,
Yeah.
so glad you said that.
Confronting hypocrisy
Yeah, but nobody wants to be the person who breaks the seal.
because you feel like you're a dummy.
Because what happens if nobody agrees with you?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be the dumbass who doesn't understand, doesn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that I don't get it, I just don't care.
Wallace didn't like himself enough to stay alive, so.
So why should I like his
Right.
books?
So, Michael, the final choice.
Prestige television.
Oh.
Oh.
Like you with these gigantic novels, important novels, I do not have the time for all of the great TV that I'm supposed to be into, that I'm supposed to be consuming, that podcasts are telling me, you got to listen to this, that TV, that the award shows are like, you have to watch Ozark, you have to watch Billionaires, you have to watch fill in the blank, and it's just like, I do not have the time for it, nor do I care.
Yeah.
If I have an hour alone to watch TV, I want to watch old episodes of The Young Ones.
Yeah.
I want to sit down with Emily, and we've been going through an old British series called Ground Force, which is a gardening TV show.
Oh, I
from
love
the
Ground Force.
From the late 90s.
With
to the
Charlie.
with Charlie and Tommy and Alan Titchmarsh. We want to sit down for an hour and just tear through old YouTubes of a pleasant gardening show.
Yeah.
Because we get home, the kid has to eat. He's 15 months old. He has to be put down. We have to make dinner. By the time that we are through with our day, it is just like we get an hour to just turn our brains off a little bit. And I cannot imagine that need to pile into one show over every night. There's something that you must watch that is important. We get one show a year, and it's
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones that we're like, we're in. We watch it when it's on Sunday nights at 9 o'clock or whatever, and like that's about it. But I think that there is a current need for society to tell you, like, you got to watch this. This is the best television that has ever been on TV.
We've reached peak TV.
They've always been saying that. It's like always the greatest TV, and it's just like I can't be too cool for school. I just don't care. And like,
I think this is, by the way, I'm glad you mentioned Ground Force, because I think this is a reason why the Great British Baking Show is so popular.
Emily brought this up to me too.
Is because you've got your peak TV on this side, and it is being forced down your throat, and it is all awful people doing awful things to other awful people all the time. And you can only have so much of that. And so what's the antidote to that? It's very pleasant British people baking scones and all supporting and helping each other. And the person who wins doesn't get like $1 million. It's just you get to say you're the best baker.
Yeah.
And that's it. And everyone's really nice.
Yeah.
And it's like the anti like prestige TV.
Yeah. With Ground Force, it ends, with this gentle walking through of what, the 3,000 pounds that they'd spend, what, the types of flowers. There's a very nice garden that they built for someone with a water feature and decking, and it's just, and the guy's voice, Alan Titchmarsh, who's like the host, he's so gentle. And Emily brought this up. She's like, there's a new wave of gentle TV. Like, I'm sure, like British Baking Show, and I think there's others that are just on Netflix now that's like trying to capture these people that are so worked up by politics, that are so worked up by murderous TV shows that you have to watch.
Right.
That's just like, I just need 22 to 44 minutes of like decompression, and like that is on the weekends. That's all we want to do after work. That's what we want to do, is just like,
and even the reality,
wind down.
Even the reality shows. Most of the reality shows are an hour of people screaming at each other.
Oh yeah. I would say when my parents were my age, television was at best one Norman Lear sitcom, and a laugh track driven. It was sitcom driven, not unscripted, and it wasn't hour-long dramas, which are the things that are being pushed towards us as the thing we have to watch. And when we were young, we didn't work for television. Television worked for us. Now I feel like everybody I know will say, I got to watch this, or I have to catch up on this.
Yeah.
I'm way behind on blank. You see people pulling their hair out because they...
Oh, you're not watching Billions?
Yeah.
That is
okay.
Yes.
Oh.
My job of television, I'm way behind my TV job. And it just drives me insane how it seems to be this gun full of pixels that is held at our head that we're supposed to...
Yeah, I mean, I think we've mentioned that I'm not the biggest Game of Thrones fan. It's not something that I watch on a regular basis. Sarah does. So I kind of keep up with it just by sort of being in the room, and I sort of watch it through osmosis, I guess. But I don't really follow it. And anytime I mention this to people, what? Oh, how can you?
Right.
How can you? And to your point, Jeff, I don't think there were people in the 80s going, how you don't watch the Jeffersons?
Yeah.
How do you not watch the Jeffersons?
Yeah.
It was just like you either watched the Jeffersons or you watched, Family Ties or whatever was on there. It wasn't like a it wasn't a condemnation on your personal lifestyle choices
Yeah.
if you didn't watch a certain show.
Richard, what's the end game?
End game here is expensive whiskeys.
Oh, okay. You're
I
a cheap whiskey man.
am a cheap whiskey man, and I'm also a wine man, and I can appreciate a good wine. I can appreciate a cheap wine too, but I can appreciate a good wine, and I more to the point, I understand what makes a wine good. Let's not even go between expensive wine or cheap wine or whatever. I have an appreciation, I think, for what makes a wine good.
Screw top or
Screw top or
the plastic.
bag. When it comes to
Alcohol content.
Ripple
Ripple.
is good.
MD 20.
When it comes to whiskey and
The apples that are made, it is pressed from, must be the finest apples.
the finest vintage
Of
that Idaho
Boone's from,
has to offer.
When it comes to whiskey, you don't see the purpose.
And Michael and I with our friend Scott, former guest judge, guest combatant, I guess. We went for his
former lifetime combatant. Come on, we've been fighting with that guy for
20 years.
12 years.
We went for his, I guess, pre-bachelor. It was like a bachelor party type thing.
Yeah.
We did a rye tasting at a place called 7 Grand.
Something like that.
Yeah, here in Los
I think
Angeles.
you set that up. Or
Yeah,
I
and I
did.
set
You
it
did.
up, and it was fun. I mean, we got to drink a lot of different whiskeys. I could not tell you the difference between the $10 whiskey and this $50 whiskey. Like it just there does not seem to be any discernible difference other than maybe one is a little bit stronger than the other.
Yeah, I seem to recall like walking out of the place, the guy was like, if you get like Canadian,
Like Canadian Club or something.
he's like, Canadian Club is like, it's pretty good cheap whiskey. It's like, it's in a plastic bottle. You can get that, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, or it was my choice, Evan Williams. That's my whiskey of choice. I remember I made some sort of joke like, yeah, I even like Evan Williams. I don't. He guys like had $7 I think was. That's actually a really good whiskey. And there's actually a rye tasting because if I needed something more pretentious than a whiskey tasting, let's go ahead and taste rye. The drink of choice for degenerate gamblers everywhere. Hi, Dr. Nick. And we got there, and the whiskey sommelier was sitting there, and he'd pour you a shot of something and say, "Well, this is from northern Kentucky. You can really taste the northern bluegrass in this, or whatever it would happen to be." And I would sit there, and everyone would be like, "Oh yeah, you can yeah, oh, okay, I can really taste hints of coriander in this." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I can taste that too." It definitely did give me the sense of like, look, there's really not that much of a difference. If you're paying $50 for a bottle of whiskey, there's not that much difference. Especially for me, because I drink whiskey and Cokes. I'm just dousing everything in Coke anyway. So, rot gut is fine for me.
Yeah.
But I don't think. But even for people, even when I drink it just straight, I really don't discern that much of a difference enough where it would justify my friends who are whiskey connoisseurs who sit there, the friends who have like the stone like cubes that they keep frozen. You ever seen these?
No.
They're like marble like cubes.
I've had some of those.
Yeah, so that the ice
It's not an
doesn't.
infinity
so
stone?
it's not an infinity stone. No.
Well,
So
all
that
right.
the ice
Shouldn't have
use
fought
that
that guy.
use it instead of ice so it won't melt in your whiskey.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
and,
okay.
and make the whiskey watered down. So I have friends who are like that, who are like the total like whiskey hipsters. And I'm convinced, that's another one where I'm convinced that they have now talked themselves into the fact that there is a difference between all these different types of whiskeys. Because if they admitted to themselves that, no, it all kind of tastes alike, their whole world would come crumbling down around
Pyramid
them.
comes falling
Yeah.
down.
I'm just going to grab a few things because I think, honestly, your justifications for all of them were just about on par because they're very much motivated by something you genuinely feel, and that's wonderful. Punk rock, couldn't agree with it more. And as the guy who's got the Infinite Jest poster, Gathering Dust, serious novels, I'm down with that. Stanley Kubrick, I'm down with that. And let's just say Prestige TV. So this has been the Mount Rushmore of things you pretend to like to be cool, but secretly aren't. I hope this podcast is something that you'll even do us the favor of pretending to like.
Yeah, you don't have to like it, really, guys.
Yeah.
But if you just pretend to your friends.
The amount of worry on Jeff's face just
Yeah.
then. His entire forehead crinkled. His eyes went up. It was an Academy Award winning performance. If I've ever seen one. Just
We
please.
sell so many of that, like the Urban Outfitters, those shirts that say Mount Rushmore on it, to kids,
Right.
teenagers, suburbanites. They never really heard Mount Rushmore, and they weren't with us in the first iteration of this group where we.
Yeah, they weren't down.
It
with
was
the
Richard, two
beginning,
other guys.
Yeah.
It wasn't us.
Yeah, all you guys that are buying our shirts at Hot Topic,
Yeah,
just keep doing it because
Yeah.
it's making us money.
Keep
so
doing
just
it.
keep doing that.
keep doing it. This has been the Mount Rushmore of Yada Baba. My name's Jeff.
I'm Richard.
Michael.